Good morning. We're going to be starting on day 2 of Gem Wars. The first thing that we're going to be doing is adding some quick animations onto the gems. That's also going to change the gem blocks and the way that they get instantiated, so that we can have a little bit of logic where we have some regular blocks and then blocks with gems. Let me show where the game is currently at though. Let's go ahead and change this block to be back like this for right now. And we'll jump back over into the source tree to start the day, and let me make a commit, and off we go. Just 1 second to open the project. And we're going to go ahead and add all of this stuff in here as a start of day. And commit. So that way we won't break anything. Okay, so where the game is currently at is I have this thing set up on portrait mode. If we click play, that's interesting. Why did that get messed up? Just a second. Oh, something's wrong here with the camera. The drawer container is off. Yeah, so let's just fix that real quick. Looks like this thing got moved. And we can try that again. Okay, so where we're at is that we are instantiating our objects. You can see I get 3 of them at a time. The way that this is done is so that I can make sure that I keep these things on top, is that I'm using render targets, so camera on each one of these with these as sprites, and so that way they sit behind. When you click on it, it moves the physical game object up here to the top. So if we were to place it, you can see that it's gone off the bottom here. So it's just a little magic happening. You can snap it back to the grid. There's no rotations on it, but as you build out your game, you can see that you can place pieces for as much as you would like. And then let me see if I can actually get a line here, because I'm not very good at Tetris. When we get a line, it will cancel it out and add up an aggregate score of the pieces that are in the line. And then when we run out of moves, okay, we got to be getting close here. So there's got to be at least one more move in here. Because it never told me game over. But maybe I have a bug that I need to work out because I don't see it. That should have ended, so we can try that again here. If I cut the board down to be like a 6x6, it'll make it easier to parse through this. There, game over. So that time it worked. It's very interesting it didn't work last time, so we'll have to just watch that and debug as we go. So currently these are just images, right? Each one of these is a specific image and there's no effect on it. So we're going to add in the animations for the sparkles on those right now. And then we're also going to make it so the correct gems are being instantiated from a player object. So if we take a look here at my first block, this one, we want this to be a diamond, so we'll use like something that I can see it on, this orange one, pretty easily. And what I want to do here is I want to have a number of spawn points. So I want to make a new game object called spawn points. So we'll call it effect spawn points, like that. And I want to make it from That's okay. And now what I want to do is I'm going to start adding just some transforms on here. So this one we're going to call this spawn. And then we can move this to be exactly where we want. Is there a little gizmo for moving this? So we can put one here. And here. Good. And maybe one up there. And there. Here on the middle. One over on that side as well. Down here we can have a couple. Hey, what's up, John? How are you doing, man? It's been a while. All right, that should probably be pretty good. I could probably use one more right here. Okay. So these are the spawn points that are going to be available on this block. So now we need to create our animation for this. So let me create a new animation here. Call it Sparkle. And we need two animators or two animations inside of this. Let me add a folder here called Sparkle. And this is a Sparkle AC because it's an animator controller. And then we want to add in here the animation called idle. And then also another one called action. Okay, we're going to add this to all of these. Now, hold 1 second. So I know that we placed these points. We can place those again here in a few seconds. What I want to do is just focus on this one because there's actually two images that make this up now. So we've got this larger one and then this smaller one. So if I was to look at the sizing of this smaller one, we want to make it 0.85 or something like that. 0.75. Your donation alert ain't working there, buddy. Are you kidding me? Checking, checking, checking. John donated 22. This is a test donation for 22. It says it works. Is it just not hooked up? Might not be hooked up anymore, man.
This is a test donation for $22.
Interesting, it came up twice. All right. Let me work on that. I'll have to fix it. Thank you, John. I appreciate that support for the $10 donation, buddy. I'll make sure that everything gets updated, and I'll add that in. I'm really sorry it didn't work. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. Okay, so on this sparkle, we want it even to be a little bit smaller, something like that. Okay, and now we can do the whole size for the whole thing here. Let's drop it to be... Let's make these 500 pixels per unit for each of them. Let's do it 600. Thank you so much there, Fallen Hope. I appreciate that. Woo! John, that's so nice of you, man. I appreciate it. Sounds like things are going great. How are you, man? Okay, let me drop these things down a little bit more. We'll drop this to be like 0.35. And this to be 0.5 or something. Actually, I was okay with the way it just was. That works. Okay. And so now what I want to do is on each one of these, I want to have the animation No, on the parent, I want to have the animator. We're going to add it here as a Sparkle animation controller. Hey, Fallen Hope, thank you for that subscription. I appreciate that, man. Look at that. Subscribed for 4 months on a 4-month streak. Wow. That's awesome. Thank you, man. John says, oh, wow, that worked. Thank you, Fallen Hope. Yeah. I think my PayPal's not hooked up anymore, is what's going on. Okay, and so now that that's done, I can look at my animator panel, and we're going to have only 2 animations. We have an idle and an action. And anytime that we make a transition to the action, we go back to idle. And our one parameter here is a parameter called action, which is a trigger. When we actually look at our individual editor here, our idle animation, we want our sparkles to be at 0 size. And at action, I'm going to want to do something like, well, let's do it one at a time. And so what I want to do is when I get to about 0.3 on the larger one, we'll make this like 0.2. And then we'll make this a 1. And then we'll make this one a 0.5. And then this one a 0. Let's see what that looks like for this animation first. Just on this diamond for now, I'm going to turn this off so I can actually see what's happening. So it's close. The curves are a little off. Let's make it accelerate faster here to get up to bright luminosity. And then let's have it die down a little bit like that. Okay, let's see how that looks now. Now, if I was to look at this whole thing and drop the size to like 0.2 on the sparkle, and I look back at my diamond, when I watch this thing with the animation now, that looks pretty good. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to have the second one also doing the same thing, but it's going to be slightly different. So when we look here, let's first fix the spawn point, and then now when I look at my action, let's do the second one. So we want to make now this one here to be at, say, 0.2. And then right here, we want to make it at 0.5. 0.85, or what was it, 6.5 that we decided it could be? That's too big. 0.45. 0.4. And then right here, we'll drop it back down to be like 0.2. And then we'll make it go away. So it's close. It never gets big enough. So here, we want to make this like 0.65 or something. And I can see what it initially was. Yeah, it's 0.65. So if I look at that again, it's a little too slow on the second one. So I'm going to move that. And then we want to make this size just a little bit smaller. Now we can take a look at the curve on that. And I can take both of these. And when I look at the size of this thing going up, we want to make it get faster and then have a slower, faster die-off. So something like that. Now, I'm still a little unhappy because of the growth on the second one is so slow to begin with. So we could do something like that. And shorten this one up a little bit. Come on. Yeah, I kind of like that. Maybe I can even do something here where I add another point. We have a little warble in it. Yeah, I kind of like that. What do you think? Okay, if I look at that on the object, I think it looks pretty all right. Okay. So now that we have that animation done, I can save this spawn point as a prefab. And we're going to call this a sparkle. And let's clean this up a little bit. So we'll make a new folder in here called pieces. And we'll add in these. We'll add in a new one called blocks. We'll add in another one called UI. And then we have one more called effects. So remember, this block diamond is a prefab. So now what we can do is we can start to just place these around the object here like we were doing before. like that. Now the reason we did that is because I want to make a script on this block. Oh, interesting. Okay, we're going to do this a slightly different way. I'm going to make a script now on this effect spawn point. So let's open it up in code. And I got to do the same thing with the organization in here. Let's make a new one called effect spawn. We're going to say effect sparkle manager. Oh, yeah. Okay, and on this, we want to have a number of these, I guess we'll just call them animators. And we're going to say that these are the effect spawn points. And then we want to have a public float for the min size. And we want to do this from a range from 0 to 1. We want to have a public float max, we only want max size, sorry. We could just even call it scale size. Okay. So now each one of my spawn points are there. We have a scale side, and then we want to have a timer. So we want to say a public float interval in seconds, and then a float interval modifier in milliseconds. So our scale size initially, we'll just set these things to be just to make sure that this is set up correctly. These things initially are set to 0.2. Okay. My interval that it's going to choose one to do something with will be about 2 seconds. And my interval modifier will be like a 1200 milliseconds. So when this inits, what I want to do is select one of these. So we need to start a coroutine. So we want to do a private protected enumerator, and this is going to be called Sparkle coroutine. And so up here we could say start coroutine called Sparkle coroutine. And we want to say this is my Sparkle coroutine. Okay. And so what I want to do is I want to first select my selected animator. And we want to say it's a effect spawn points of a random dot range from 0 to my effect spawn points dot length. Now, one thing I need to do in here is I need to have another script for each one of these, which is called a effect sparkle script. And this one's just going to have an animator. So we're going to say it's a require component type of animator. And we can do a protected animator. And on my awake, we want to have the animator is equal to get component animator. We want to have one called sparkle, and I want to have a protected bool is sparkling. And then we want to do a animator.setTrigger called action. Now, I don't remember exactly how to do this, so I have to look this up real quick, but we want to do a Unity wait for animation to finish. This is a little wonky. Oh, there's a lot of crap in here. We'll just do this one. Let's see, this is from 2010, so let's see if there's something sooner. This is the one I'm looking for. Okay, so now what I can do is a now what we want to do is we want to have a protected virtual I enumerator called sparkle coroutine here. And what I want to do is I want to set the trigger, and then I want to say while my animator dot get current animator state information of my layer index of 0 dot is name called action, and my animation dot get current animator state information of my 0 dot normalize time is greater than 1.0f. That means it's done. Oh, it's less than that. Then we're going to do a yield return null. And otherwise, we're going to say is sparkling equals false. And then here we can do a let's add in, so I don't get an error here, a coroutine called sparkle coroutine. And then we want to do a sparkle coroutine equals start coroutine of my sparkle coroutine. And then I want to do a dispose on this. And in this, I want to do a if my sparkle coroutine is not equal to null, then we want to do a stop coroutine called sparkle coroutine, and then we want to do a sparkle coroutine equals null. Okay, and then finally, the whole reason we made this separate script for this is that I wanted to put on here a public bool called is sparkling, and we want to return my sparkle is sparkling boolean. Okay, so now that we have that, We have our scale size, which is fine. We also want to have a public float scale size modifier. Something like that. And we'll move these back. I want to say in here, now we don't need to worry about this. And I want to say that my just one more second here while I look at this, because I need to when we do my sparkle, I want to do a vector 2 for my scale size. And then we want to say transform dot local scale is equal to scale size. There we go. That's what I was trying to figure out what I needed to do. So now over here, we want to have my coroutine called a protected virtual I enumerator, and this is going to be called select sparkle to select sparkle and animate. And so the first thing it's going to do is we're going to have a var effect spawn point equals, and now this is a list of effect spawn scripts, effect sparkles, and we want to do a Unity engine dot random Amazon Prime message, you can link number 2 free sub. What a nice guy. Didn't think that would work. Updates are the worst. What is it you're working on? And we want to get a random.range here from 0 to my effect sparkles dot length. Now it's not completely correct because we wanted to get a var available sparkles is my effect sparkles dot where my X is not sparkling. And now what I want to do is I want to do a effect.sparkle. And we want to pass in here a random.range. So let's do this one step at a time. I want to say my var scale size selected is going to be a scale size plus a random.range from my -1 times my scale size modifier to my scale size modifier. And so now this is going to be a new vector 2 of my scale size selected. And then we have to do our weight here. So we're going to do a var weight selected, weight times selected, and that's going to be a interval milliseconds plus a Unity engine.random.range from my -1 times my interval modifier milliseconds to my interval modifier milliseconds. And then I want to do a what is it? It's a yield return new wait 4 seconds. And we want to do a wait times selected divided by 1,000 or times 1,000. No, it's the other way around. Divided by 1,000 F. Now, I want to do this whenever this thing is running. So we want to have a new function here called start. We'll call it init. And then we'll have another one in here called dispose. I'm just texting alt. However, I have commands logged in Bitchit, so I was wondering if I could trigger it from con host. That sounds fun. It sounds like a lot of different connections going on. So in my dispose, I first want to have a protected coroutine called my select sparkle and animate coroutine. And here we'll start it. And this one we want to say, while true, we just want to do this stuff. On dispose, we want to say if my selected sparkle animate coroutine does not equal to null, then we want to stop the coroutine. And then we want to do the same thing on one more method, which I want to call like that. Okay. So now we can give it a try. Over on my block script, we want to have on my block gem script object, I want to have a public just a second. So over on my block, we want to have this one needs to have a type on it, right? Which is going to designate the script itself. This is done as a manager, so we want to put it on a prefab. I don't want to create an individual prefab for each one of them, so I want to have a specific manager that gets instantiated onto the block. So I can do this by my public gem type called gem type. This is setting the block. Just a second. Well, let's put it together first. So here on my block diamond, oh, do I have an error? No. On my effect spawn point, we want to say that this is a effect sparkle manager. And this one's for diamond. All of those settings look fine. Now we're going to go through and we're going to set the effect sparkle script. So on this block, we want to have a public effect sparkle manager. Call this effect sparkle manager. And we want to add a note here, which is only included if block has a gem in block SO. So we could do this for all of them. And now I could have a protected effect sparkle manager called effect sparkle manager. And then what I want to do is, this is going to be temporary, is I want to do a effect sparkle managers where my, we'll do the first or default X where my gem type is equal to a scriptable object dot gem dot gem type. Gem type. Ugh. This doesn't include the gem. This is a block gem. And then you want to have a gem SO called gem. And now I want to say if manager does not equal to null. It's awesome, A Fallen Hope. You're rock. Then we want to do a manager effect sparkle manager equals instantiate this manager, and the parent is this, so this transform. That should take care of it. And then you want to do effect sparkle manager dot init. And I think that should do it. So now when we look at the block here, we can drag this in as a prefab. And I'm going to say that this is a diamond sparkle spawn. And so now I can go back here into my prefabs for blocks, for pieces, and I should be able to remove this as a prefab. So let's unpack prefab, call this block 0. Add my, just a second here, correct image. Select all of these and add in my effect. Oh, I know, Fallen Home. I appreciate that, man. Okay, let's go check it out now. So now when I zoom in, it says index was out of range. So let's take a look at what happened here. We never added those onto here. I don't see the thing ever being instantiated. Because I never set, that's diamond, just step through it and see what's happening. Who is that? Another introvert. Thank you so much for that follow. I appreciate that, buddy. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to pop them into the chat. That's being called here, which is initting my available sprites, which is then firing. Maybe it's just in here. Let's just see what happens. That's good. We got my manager for type diamond. We're going to instantiate it, and then we're going to run a init, which is going to start this coroutine here. We have all 15. We select one. We tell it to sparkle. The scale size is 0.2, 0.2. We're going to run the sparkle coroutine. And then it says, is sparkling is false. So let's see if it ever gets there, because I don't think that's working. But I don't even see it instantiated. Oh my God, I love you, dude. That's awesome. So what is going on here? First, let's go look at our actual objects. So we're never, these are render targets, by the way. We're never, I don't see it instantiated. So I don't quite understand how that happened. First, let's try it with nothing. Oh, I know why. Derp, 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 derp. Wait. It's because Let's try it again now. No worries, man. Okay, this time it instantiated it, so that's good. It's here. Is it just not visible? If I was to look at the block and turn off the sprite renderer, you see that it's sparkling. It says the animator's never firing. It's called Sparkle. It's sitting here at idle. You know what it is? It's on this one. I never added the condition that it's action. And that it doesn't have it has a fixture, it has no a fixed duration like that. That's fixed. Did it just freeze on me? No. There's no diamonds on that one. Okay, here we go. There we go. And we can see them sparkling there. It's a little hard to see. On this one in particular. But it's working. Okay, so let's rinse and repeat for our other spawn system. So we want to do we don't need this block diamond anymore. No block prefabs. So we'll just look at this. I'm going to use a block prefab just for building these things. And now what I can do is let's just add this and then unpack it. And now I'm going to call this one a Ruby Sparkle spawn. And on this one we can get rid of all but the first one. And let's change my piece here to be for a Ruby. Trying to find one that I would like. This one. Okay. And now we're going to add sparkles onto this one as well. Same thing as before. So we're just going to start adding them where it seems like they could potentially spawn. Okay, we want to have another layer here maybe on there, these kind of spot. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now, one thing I forgot to do on this is I also wanted to say that when we instantiate this sparkle here, I also want to have one more thing on here, which is called a vector2, vector3, we'll just say float z rotation. And so here we also want to add in a z rotation equals a random dot range from 0 to 360 degrees. And so when we do this, I want to say transform dot rotation is equal to quaternion dot Euler of my 0, 0, z rotation. So back on the Ruby, we can get rid of everything here, lock it down, add in all my spawn points, change it to be a Ruby. And now back over here in my piece, I can unpack this. Get rid of the Ruby spawn system, change the block back so I don't ruin anything. And then we want to select our 4 blocks and add on the Ruby spawn system. And then when we look at it again, you can see the rubies are shining too. Are they rotating? I think they're rotating. Yeah. And so should be the diamonds. Okay. If I look at my sparkle prefab, I wonder if I give this just the littlest tint of yellow. That'll help make it pop. Yeah. Maybe even that's a little too much, but somewhere in the right position here. Like that. Okay, our next one was we're going to look at this block here, knock off this spawn system. Actually, we can do that again. We can unpack it, delete all but one of the spawns. And this one's going to be a emerald. And we're going to change the piece here to be the emerald. And we're going to do the same thing. So here we go. We'll start with this one. Just add these things around in the appropriate spots. Moving these a little bit to get all of them in there. Okay. And then on the inside rim too. Okay, we'll add this all in here. Change this one to be an emerald. And we're good there. Okay, let's just go on to the next one here. So we're going to unpack it. I'm going to call this a sapphire. Get rid of everything here. Change the block to be a sapphire. And we're going to do the same thing again. Something like that. Okay, we'll go ahead and select these, lock it down, bring these in, call it a sapphire. We've only got 2 more. So for the next one, it's going to be a amber, and we don't want any of these things. First, let's unpack it. Change the name to be an amber. Get rid of all these. Start again. Almost done here. This goes pretty fast. Something like that. Okay. And then we can drop them into here. Like that. Call it a amber. Bring that over into effects. Okay, and the last one here is a amethyst. Which is this one. We're going to change it to be an amethyst, and then we're going to start to do this with the same things again. something like that. Okay, and then we'll add this in. And then we'll add our prefab. And then we can back out of our block. All right, yeah. And now what I want to do is look at my individual piece. I'm going to bring in a block here, which I'm just going to call a block. I don't want to do that because it's going to break all my pieces. Let me just unpack that again. I don't want to do that. I don't want those to be prefabs. And then we want these to have my one, two, three, four, five, six. And now when we look at this game again and it's running, we now see that everything is sparkling. Let's make those sparkles more defined. Yeah, I'm using C# for the scripting language. Now what I want to do is I want to look at my prefabs for these. And I can set these things to be 0.25 and 0.12. Awesome. Yeah, we also use C# for the back end as well. They now get a little bit bigger. Still allowed to be very small. They can be actually too small. So let me do this again. And we want to say 0.3. And my scale size modifier will be 0.05. There, that looks good. Now we can see them sparkle, but it still seems very small. Let's just be devil's advocate to make sure this is even working. And set everything to 1 and see what it looks like. Have you heard about tutorial purgatory? It's when you keep on watching tutorials for everything. Do you recommend that path? Or is it just best to learn by coding something? I think it's always good to learn by getting your hands dirty with it. So it doesn't look like it's setting the sizes. If I look at my object here, it's still only going to 0.2 or something like that in the animation. So if I look at this again, for the size, scale size, I'm putting that here. If I look at my animator, it's never touching the sides. See, the scale is still 111 on the spawn. So is it because this spawn is at 0.2? So the sparkle itself is at 0.2. Let's look at what's happening here. If I set this to 1, my scale size is 1. So now they're big. So if I go back now into these and I change the scale size to be 0.2. Zachariah P, how are you doing? Thank you so much for that follow. Appreciate it. If you have any questions, make sure you pop them into the chat. Okay, they're still large. So it doesn't look like it's ever setting the scale size. Because the scale size should be getting set on these. No, the scale size should be getting set on the spawns. It's just set to 1. Okay, if I look at the animation, when you're here, we don't want to mess with it. What we want to do is we want to set sparkle animators off. And then in action, when we start, we want to turn them on. So now these things can get to the right size. And this is the thing that would need to change. So now when I come out of this and I look at how I'm setting them, I want to set them to be 0.2 and I run it. Now they're small. I think that fixed it. And now if I set them to be 0.65 with a modifier of 0.15, and I run it. Yes, I am Glenn C. 3.1 for it. I feel like something happened to my animation. Just look real quick. Glenn C, thank you for that follow. How are you doing? Appreciate it. You have any questions, make sure to pop them into the chat. No, it looks right. Okay. So now when we jump back out, it seems like they're too fast at times. So let's go back and modify the time scale here. And we want to say they come every 3 seconds with a modifier of 600. Hey, the good Matthew. How are you doing? Welcome to the channel. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to pop them into the chat. It seems like the animation is effed. Why did it do that? Oh, I know why it's doing that. Back on the animation, on the end of this, I need to turn off the sprite renderers. Still doing it. So is it doing a transition to idle? Yes. So we don't want to do this. We just want to have no exit time and a fixed duration of 0. It's not even going to show it to me here. Thought for sure it would. Oh, you're in idle. So we want to say the exit time here. If we have a fixed duration there, then our exit time is 0. So let's check it again now. There we go. Now, one thing I don't like is that everything is kind of starting on the same pulse. So we want to have one more piece on here, which is on Sparkle. When we first start, let's do the wait time first. That's the easiest way to go about it. Let's do it a different way. I want the wait time down there. Right here, I'm going to do a yield return wait for seconds at my interval plus or minus this thing divided by f. There we go. That should do it better. Or it'll never start at all. Oh, it's this. Derp, 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 derp. Order operations. They all kind of still started together, which I didn't like. It's like their randoms are not truly... So let me change then on these my time modifier to be 1300. It still doesn't seem like it's caring about the interval. Let's try that. Okay, so now if I want to do a start all animators at different times Unity, So here you want to say if effect so you don't get an error. And then your wait time. And so then over on your sparkle, when you do a start, so here what we'll do instead is we'll do a wait time for my random.range from 0 to my interval milliseconds. Divided by 1,000. Then I think that'll fix that. Now, if you really want to get creative, I think we can do a seed random generator, which I thought I put in my base, or I must have put it in my global manager. And that should do it. Okay. So we've added in the sparkles, which is nice. We need to change when gems are instantiated onto objects. So if I look at, actually, let's take a little break here. So I'm going to take, say, 10, 15 minutes. When we come back, we're going to pick up and we're going to change the way that the blocks are being instantiated. We're just going to have it with a random chance right now. And then I think what we're going to do is we have to add in a player and then a draw phase. And the draw phase will allow you to modify the chances of getting certain pieces. So thanks for staying with me. I'll be back in a little bit. Enjoy the music. All right. See you in a bit.